All right, question of the day. What is your favorite RPG? Tabletop or video game? Chrono Trigger, obviously. But because today we're talking about Critical Foundation Season 1. Now, this is a game in which you're playing an RPG. Now, the reason I say that is because it's in an RPG, or excuse me, it's in a board game shaped box, and it's meant to get people into playing RPGs who have never done so before, or at least have dipped their toe in, or maybe just have always wanted to, which is why this is an interesting concept to me. Each mission or each episode only takes about 20 to 30 minutes, which is also pretty awesome. Now, obviously, you could play, 3 or 4 of them a night or whatever you wanted to do, but in a pinch, when you just have a few minutes, you quickly throw this out. And what's also great is you don't have all these giant books to go with it. So let's take a look at Critical Foundation, but let me know in the comments below what your favorite RPG is. Tabletop-wise, mine is Call of Cthulhu. I love the D100 system and the whole idea of being a detective. It's just fun to me. But let's take a look at Critical Foundation right now. Hey, before we go further with this review, check out the Dice Tower merch store at dicetowerstore.com. Get some amazing swag, and I'll send it to you. All right, this is Critical Foundation set up. You have your Game Master screen here with actually really nice little sleeves in here for the episode. Now, I'm going to be walking through episode 0. Now, there's a bunch of different episodes in here. Each one takes roughly 20 to 30 minutes, which is pretty cool and a nice break for people who are just dipping their toes into RPGs, because otherwise you could sit there for 4 hours sometimes talking about which hat are we going to buy. Trust me. My niece Hannah has told me that, and that sounds like a nightmare. But this one's not like that. This one involves quick missions. Now, the downside of the screen is that has already flopped open, but, it may just be, maybe something could reattach pretty easily, but because you do get these cards to put up here, but it seems like a little bit much to put all 3 cards. Now, you get your character cards that you will get to name, which is pretty cool. So you have these different character cards with the different roles on them, different looks and everything like that. And then you'll choose your background. And the background's pretty cool because it really changes kind of how your character will get bonuses. So if one of these background things is on here in a check that you see later, you'll get the bonus associated with that character. On your character card, it shows you kind of what your traits are, what you have. These are all the same, and they're not based on your skills. They're based on the die roll against the check, which is kind of nice because as you've seen the other ones, you have actual numbers that will boost your numbers and things like that. So this is pretty cool. You'll get bonus dice other ways, but nothing here. You don't have a number for your attribute. Then you got your equipment cards over here, things like Kevlar jackets. You've got these assault rifles. Does 2 damage and adds a success bonus to your attack if you roll that. So it's pretty neat. A lot of different equipment here. Now this is just season 1. So as we get into it, what you're going to do is you also have these NPC cards here. Now they'll be facing the inside of the screen here because there's information on the back of the NPCs. There's weaknesses, which you can find out as a character. The Game Master will roll, and the symbols here will show what happens if you roll those dice, which is pretty cool because it also varies how each NPC plays. You'll name your character, and then you'll start with the episode cards. You'll hand them the first one right here based on the pamphlet, and you'll get up and running. So this is scenario 0. So I'm going to read this first part to you because it struck me as pretty funny. It says, the player character is a member of an American government agency and are engaged in a classified mission in Alaska. American Special Forces have surrounded a former nuclear site. Shadow Moses. Okay, maybe not, but it definitely sounds like that. They're suspected to have a nuclear warhead. Also sounds a lot like that. A Hind D. They're suspected to have a nuclear warhead. The PCs must infiltrate the area, find the warhead, and disable it. But first they enter the compound, they must find a paramilitary organization protecting work of a far more disturbing nature, led by a scientist, Dr. Monroe here, that would need to fight to evacuate the area, which is being stormed by the military. So that's your setup. That's what's going on in episode 0 here. You read this part to them. That's actually for you to read. You'll read this part to them. You'll read anything with the narrative part next to it, and then you'll answer questions in the role-playing part here. And you'll answer questions just like any RPG. They need to ask questions of this character, Colonel Jackson. It describes how to play him. The PCs will ask questions to him and hopefully get the information they need. Then you'll get some more narrative text, here. It'll tell you which equipment cards to give them. And then you go into the action scenes over here. So you find a wall, in the dark, so you need to do a mental check. You'll roll that, and if you succeed, you find the wall pretty quickly. If not, you get off base and there's barbed wire, and the next check becomes more difficult. Go down here, you're going to keep checking infiltrating, then you get a chance to find the lab, and then you get a chance to fight these NPCs. Once you do that, you beat it, you find some information out, and then you progress on. There's a lot of scenarios in this that fill this one long season 1. So that's how you play Critical Foundation. It's pretty straightforward RPG, but it's stripped down the rules a good bit. There are a lot of little tiny rules in there, like these hero tokens, which will allow you to get a bonus to your dice, and that will make it so you can hopefully roll a success. There's critical failures, there's critical successes, just like in any RPG. But again, this is meant to be streamlined for new players and people who have never played a role-playing game, even the game master. So it gives that opportunity. So let's talk about final thoughts. All right, that was Critical Foundation. Now, first of all, just like I would do any other game, I would do art direction, and then gameplay. First and foremost, this game's gorgeous. I love the way it looks. Yeah, I poked fun about it having a theme similar to Metal Gear Solid in the beginning, but it quickly deviates away from that. It feels a little bit like Deus Ex or something like that, because it's only 2033, so it's not super far in the future, but it's only 10 years in the future. It's also got you got a little bit of hopping across different places, meeting a lot of interesting characters, a real nefarious scheme is happening, and then a cool cliffhanger ending in the epilogue, which is pretty fun. But at the end of the day, the game is gorgeous. Those episode cards just look so good. Every bit of it looks good. The character art looks good. Even the little clue tokens look really great. So knocked it out of the park in art. Really, really well done. It really helps to immerse you in a theme if it's nice to look at. As far as art direction, it's actually pretty simple there too. And what I like, I'm going to focus mostly on the Game Master first, because that's where the art direction really lies. The PC players pretty much just get a couple cards, and the rest of it's up here, Theater of the Mind. But as far as the art direction for the Game Master, first of all, that screen is fantastic. Give or take the little flap that's a little floppy flap. But the screen is great. It's got all the relevant info you need there. But what I also really love are the episode pamphlets, and they are so stinking nice. They look really good, and they help you flow through the mission. Now, some people would say, I don't like that. I want to freewheel, and I want to do my own thing as the game master. That's fine. But remember, the point of this is to get you into it. And if you are that kind of game master who's experienced and can freewheel, and you're trying to get your other friends into playing this is really helpful, because it gives you all that relevant information you need to know for this scene so that you can advance the story. Now, again, as far as gameplay, this is one of those games where your group is absolutely crucial. This will not work with every group, right? It's not going to work with your game group that just loves playing Blockbuster and So Clover, world's best nature game. It's a game in which you need people to have at least that kind of adventurous spirit to play it. So I have played RPGs with a couple different groups of people. One group of people played the Star Wars Age of Rebellion type game, or whichever one it was, almost like they were playing Imperial Assault. They thought about it in the form of a dungeon crawl board game, versus say, hey, I need to ask this guy who runs a shop about this thing so I can get some more information to hopefully find the person that we're looking for. Then there's other people who get fully immersive, and they're coming up with backstories. They're making their own information up, and they're playing in character. They're talking in character. They're talking in voice, all that sort of stuff. So your group is definitely going to make or break this game. That being said, the rules are streamlined and easy enough to where you can easily pick this up. This isn't one that you're going to go, oh, geez, I don't know how to get into this. It's pretty simple. And if you have a mixture of those two types of groups, well, those who are more analytical and Imperial Assault players are going to be brought up to the style of those who are much more narrative players, which is pretty cool. So all in all, great experience to get people into role-playing. This is a fun idea. It's a really cool looking idea, cool story, interesting, all that sort of stuff. So if you've always wanted to get into role-playing, or if you've got friends who are trying to get you into role-playing and you were just not all that into it yet, definitely check out Critical Foundation Season 1. Bit of a mouthful to say, but really, really cool concept. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.